most current edition of Truth Noir. I'm joined by an old favorite of the show.
Hey, everybody. Howdy.
Old friend of humanity and, fellow concerned citizen.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to spread the truth for once. Too many lies out there, Noah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Vince, it's good to see you again,
It's
man.
good to see you, too.
It's been far too long. What's been going on with you, man?
All kinds of stuff.
Been all over God's nation here.
Out there trying to get to the bottom of the knowable, you know? Find knowledge in every form and every place it lurks.
Any interesting ruminations or epiphanies recently?
Well, I don't know if it's too early to go into my rant.
No, it's all right, man.
But recently I've been bothered by customer service. Now, everyone knows customer service as if you have a problem with a company, inevitably they'll have a way for you to contact them. Mm-hmm. Although inevitably it'll be a bot or someone in a faraway land who you're contacting, and not members of the actual company as we know it. But every company has some way of dealing with its customers, and it's occurred to me, and it occurred to me long ago, but now I'm mad about it. That the way that customer service is structured, especially in this country and for a product sold in America, is that they do their very best to make you not want to do it. You don't want to call the number, even though they might be able to help you inevitably.
Right. But yeah, the trouble involved in actually getting to speak to a live person who understands all the words that are coming out of your mouth. That's gonna be a
the
sizable
bar is
chunk
high.
of your day.
It's incredibly high. You have to waste an hour or two. You might be hung up on if the person doesn't like how you sound, and even if you manage to get to somebody, that person might not know the company's real policies. And this is all by design. This is where this isn't just a gripe, but rather a matter for Truth Noir.
Yeah, a flaw in the system.
Yeah. This is something that's more or less a conspiracy. Not in the sense that all the big companies have planned this out, but rather that they're all working at the same thing, and thus creating sort of a shadow threat.
I get what you're saying. I started working at a pharmacy recently, and what part of that entails is calling medical insurance companies to follow up on. I mean, we're trying to get patients their medication, and it is the job, or at least it's in the best interest of the insurance company to deny that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they don't want
to pay for anything.
And so all of their policies for how you submit medical claims, if they are not followed exactly to the T, they just won't even look at it.
Yeah.
They'll be like, nope, you got to resubmit it. And there are patients and so where I work, we deal mostly in hepatitis C and HIV drugs.
So, I mean, these are seriously sick people.
These are people that are literally dying of the illness that they have. And some of these cases that we call in on, we've had on file from the time we've gotten the prescription and have been trying to fill it. Mm-hmm. It's taken a year or 2 years sometimes when these people have not gotten their medication.
That's horrible.
And their conditions have continually deteriorated. And if it's just a thing where they don't meet the criteria, mm-hmm. Like you have to be this sick before we'll approve your medication. A lot of these, approval criteria are such that, like, you literally, your organs have to be failing. Like your liver has to be on its last leg.
Yeah.
Like you have to be on a transplant list or something like that.
And it makes you think, like, what's the point of insurance, or what's the point of any service, right? I mean, it's supposed to fulfill a function, and if it can't fulfill that function, then what is it?
Well, yeah, it's extortion.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially now,
it's a money grab. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, and while I think that the original notion of having mandatory, like everyone must have health care, I think it was potentially well conceived.
It's
in the
well
beginning.
intentioned.
It has certainly not become that.
No, I mean that's really the sort of the worst part about, or the reason that some people out there dislike what we call Obamacare, because like although the essence of it is good, and if it worked as it was intended to, perhaps things would be different. But
Sure.
What's happened, or the rollout of it, has been a train wreck for the last 2.5 years.
Well, yeah, you've had too many hands in it, and the people that don't...
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
The people that don't want it to be enacted at all have written in all of these ridiculous, like, little riders in the legislation, that it's like, okay, you can't be denied for having a previous condition, but we'll deny your medication. Like, you will technically have insurance, but we will continually deny the one thing that you need. And yeah, so
That's some sick stuff, man.
yeah, it's a crime against humanity
It truly is.
that everyone seems to be like, meh.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, things are just like that.
And going back to your original point of customer service, calling these insurance companies, like you said, you end up talking to someone in, Bangladesh, or the location doesn't matter.
It's usually Bangladesh or
But-
the Philippines.
Sure.
Because both of those places have cheap labor and English-speaking populations.
Right. Or what you would hope would be English-speaking populations. But what I found is that a lot of the people that they have, maybe they speak decent conversational English, but when you get into like the technical language of, what you need to submit, medical terminology and such, there's a little bit lost in translation. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it is by some kind of sort of chaotic design that even if it wasn't specifically intended that way, the companies know that if they're able to back something up for a while, it will eventually, because there's time statutes also, these things have to be submitted within a certain period of time from the time the prescription was written. And if they're able to back it up for a year, you have to get all new lab work done, and you have to have your doctor write you a new prescription because all of those things are expired and out of date now.
I mean, it's the same thing with electronics. Say Apple Care. It lasts, unless you buy the extra thing, it lasts from a year from when you purchase the product. And they know that by making it a pain in the ass, Apple's a little better than some other places because they have some American workers, or at least ones that sound like it.
Or you can go into the Genius store and yell at someone.
and rub somebody's back until they fix your computer.
Right.
But oh man, what I was trying to say is they know that you only have the year, so they try to make the process as long as possible. So
Yeah, exactly.
in their best interest, of course, you'll run over that year and thus have to pay to get your product fixed. And I mean, like, these policies are at all the major corporations, and again, it's not like explicit collusion, but they're all working in full knowledge of each other's policies.
Right. Well, and they know that it's just basic math. Like if we are able to allow these things to expire, or if we force you to miss your deadline for submitting something, or if your phone breaks the day after the warranty expires,
Yeah.
it's in that case it's something like planned obsolescence. We'll warranty it through the time that we know it will remain functional, and
That's
cut,
that.
Yeah, and cut down the amount of money that
And
we have
even
to
worse,
pay out.
like, it conditions people to not, use the actual rights they have when purchasing these products. I mean, it makes people complacent. It makes them so they don't take the necessary steps, to be reimbursed or have their thing fixed or get the necessary medication that they need.
Right.
And so, in effect, even though, again, it's not by explicit design, this is social control. Customer service is social control, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's I think it's a very good example of doublespeak.
Mm-hmm.
In the like truest Orwellian sense of, you know, the Ministry of Truth are the ones that are fabricating lies, like that kind of thing. Your customer service departments, corporations over, are there to waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they were there to actually serve you, they'd be like, oh, you need this medication? Let's help you get that.
Yeah, exactly. How can we work this so you get the medication you need?
And,
Not that you have to have a form in triplicate, you know, faxed overnight to an office in, like, Oakville,
Right.
Alabama. Like, that doesn't really make sense. That's not the most efficient way to handle a thing.
No, of course not. And yeah, in calling insurance companies, now the United States Postal Service runs at a certain level of efficiency. Usually, and I think it's like 99.98%.
But where's the statistic coming from?
I don't know. You ever lost a piece of mail?
Yes, I have.
How many in all of the time you've been alive? Like, how much have you received?
Oh, I mean, that's a good point.
Versus, and that's, I mean, I would buy that statistic.
Yeah.
Except with the case of insurance companies, because a lot of times they say, well, you have to mail in your appeal, and gee whiz, if appeals just never get there.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's weird that even though somebody had to sign for it there, it somehow didn't arrive.
Yeah, you send it certified mail and must have gotten lost in our system. You'll have to mail it again, and then you have to give them 2 weeks before they'll even look into it.
Yeah.
For processing time and getting it entered into your system. And, oh, no, still didn't get it. And so just in that aspect of it, there's a month gone, you know.
And all this time, these people are sitting on your money.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that you've paid them.
Yeah, exactly.
To look after your best medical interests.
That you've paid your insurance dues. They just sit on it, collect interest, usually just float to funnel into other businesses and ventures. I mean, something that everyone at home should look into eventually is Warren Buffett's letters to shareholders. Have you ever checked these out, Norm?
No.
All right, so every year, Warren Buffett, who's the founder and CEO still, he hasn't stepped down even though he's old, of Berkshire Hathaway, which is a holding company, essentially an investment fund all in one. But they have a number of businesses. And their main business, as he'll explain in this letter, is insurance. Now, the great thing about insurance companies is that the way that they work is that they hold on to your money and maybe someday they'll have to pay it out. Now, when they have this money, they only have to keep a percentage of it in sort of like cash on hand. And then what about all the other money? Well, it turns out they can do with it whatever the fuck they want to. As long as, I mean, they're responsible for it. It's on their books, but they can still use it for investment purposes, or at the very least to get interest on.
Sure.
So every second of time that an insurance company can hang on to any kind of money or not pay a claim, it's in its best interest.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that sense, they kind of function as a bank.
It's true.
And banks also only have to keep I think it's like a 10% liquidity. The rest is, and like they have to invest your money because they are paying out interest. Mm-hmm. They're paying out, dividends or
well, I mean,
claims.
They're legally obligated to do the best they can by their shareholders. So, I mean, they have to be continually making money.
Right.
I mean, it's literally like the law.
But when that gets in the way of, we don't have enough. Like if they told you when you went to the bank to get your money out, and this happens in various places where there's economic crashes and, sorry, you don't get to take all of your money out. Mm-hmm. You don't get to take out even as much as you need for the day sometimes. If they did that here, people would be appalled.
Absolutely.
But when you're paying for a service that is pretty much corrupt, and they say, "Oh, sorry, we can't pay for your medicine. Gee whiz, sorry." Even though they can absolutely.
Yeah,
pay for
I
that
mean,
medication.
there's no reason that they can't.
Uh,
I mean, the only reasons are these codified policies.
yeah, somehow that's more acceptable to people. But yeah, no, man, it was a good rant. I feel you on that one.
All right, well, that's my opening rant, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff, man.
And what else do we have in the program, Norm?
Well, there's just some other weird stuff going on.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know where to start. Our pictures are mashed as usual. So this is one that I thought was odd.
It looks like there's some ambulances there. What's going on?
Well, they look like ambulances, but they're actually UN armored vehicles.
All right. Why?
And you might think, well, where is this? This must be in Africa or some other unstable place where they need UN peacekeepers with armored personnel.
Yeah.
These are actually some of these photos people are taking in Virginia, Texas, and there's like a growing number of these surfacing. Now I know you can like Photoshop anything on anything.
Sure.
But there's been a lot of talk about this, and it's one of those things that kind of makes me wonder, like, well, what are all of those doing here?
Is there going to be a disaster?
Maybe they're planning something. Maybe.
And why the Southeast? It's like, what was it, last year? Or maybe the year before? No, it was last year. I think we talked about it. There was those war games going on in Texas or whatever.
Right, yeah. And they always have these crisis actors, that they hire. Like, this is no secret.
Mm-hmm.
But it just kind of makes me think, like, if you can hire crisis actors to, run your drills and war games and scenarios, it seems like you could do the same thing and stage an event somewhere.
Absolutely, especially if it could have some politically expedient reason for doing so. I mean, we are in an election year after all.
Yeah, right. It'll be interesting to see what they're planning with all of these.
That is very strange. Well, I have to keep an eye out on that one.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Yeah. See, that was
there's another
one I found.
Virginia Interstate. Whatever could those be for?
And these, like.
Now, is that really the UN symbol? It's just the letters and like block print?
On the vehicles, yeah.
Okay. Is that normal? Is that how it is in Europe?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting.
But what gets me is, like, these are not vehicles for like public aid. It's not like a giant water tanker that you'd think might be helping out the people in Flint, or a giant semi or a huge container vehicle that might be
to spray down all those Zika mosquitoes.
Yeah, bringing food aid to people who need it. Like, these are armored personnel carriers.
Yeah, I mean that seems as though it's going to be transporting somebody, or perhaps even working as an assault vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
That is incredibly weird.
Let's see. What else do we have?
Hey, look at that beard.
I also wanted to talk about some like alternate political candidates
that are
running for president.
Are you saying that you're not happy with Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump?
First and foremost, yes. Secondly, it's just that thing that.
You mean you don't want to vote for a war criminal or a racist businessman? I mean, that's crazy. What's wrong with them?
Well, and the thing is, people be like, "Well, I'm really tired of this argument of, well, it's the lesser of two evils." Like, voting for Bernie is throwing your vote away. It's like, no, you should vote for the person that you actually want. I don't give a shit if it's Bernie, but I mean, whoever it is that you think will serve your best interests and those of your fellow countrymen,
Yeah.
vote for that person. That's
sure,
what they're there for.
I'm sure the family members of dead children in Libya think that Hillary Clinton is really the lesser of two evils, right? As opposed to Donald Trump. I mean, like, come on, like her foreign policy moves as Secretary of State were ghastly. I mean, she's responsible for carnage all over the Middle East and the world.
Well, she is at the very least highly negligent and incompetent.
Oh, yeah.
And at the worst, obviously sky's the limit. But like,
I mean, at the worst, the bloodthirsty war hawk who thinks that American interests are better than people's lives.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like I'm all about giving financial aid to places that need it. I'm not 100% sure Israel's one of them anymore. Like, we give I forget the exact number, but it's like tens of billions of dollars every year to different places, Israel being one of them. But and it's not the people of Israel that I have a problem with. Obviously, it's the government that enacts these policies of like, hey, we're gonna tear down little bits of the wall and push the Palestinians slowly into the Mediterranean.
Well, I mean, it's not, and the money isn't going to the people of Israel. It's going to the military-industrial complex of Israel, which is an entirely different beast.
And well, I mean, and we've talked about it on the show before. Like, I don't like the fact that my tax dollars go to do that anywhere. And I think if you ask most people, like, hey, that that 50 cents that you paid in taxes on your bottle of Powerade, that's going to go murder a little kid.
Yeah, right. We're going to have to murk this Saudi Arabian child.
Yeah. And there seems to be this, well, it also goes to, like, maintain the infrastructure of America. My tax money built a bridge here.
Yeah, right.
My money didn't go to, lend military aid somewhere.
America's roads are in one of the worst state of disrepair that they've ever been. I mean, that was one of Bernie's main campaign platforms.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we need to put some serious work into the roads, tunnels, bridges, train tracks, everything. I mean, it's falling apart. Most of the plumbing in this country was built over 100 years ago. Imagine that. Like, those are pipes made in a different era. And it's
different. Yeah, right. Like some of them before the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. I mean, they had no idea what you should and shouldn't do to stuff. And I mean, like, beyond normal wear and tear, at this point, those pipes are leaching toxins into everybody's drinking water.
Well, yeah, we should, stop allowing that.
Yeah.
And as absurd as it sounds, I don't think that voting in a admittedly absurdist candidate like our friend Vermin Supreme.
You don't think Vermin Supreme is going to be able to do the job?
No, I think he would do. Even with his complete lack of foreign policy or government experience or doing political anything, we should definitely step away from all of that, because all of that has been going on for at least the last, 100 years.
Yeah.
There have been little bright spots of people attempting to fix the horrible problems that have come to a head.
Yeah.
As they do, like, once every 40 or 50 years. But it doesn't need to be that way. I think Vermin Supreme would do a better job. Because Vermin Supreme, what does he want? He wants to, he wants everyone to brush their teeth. I think that's one of his, campaign pitches.
Incredibly important, folks. Brush your teeth, wear sunscreen. If you can wash your clothes occasionally, that's cool.
Eat your vegetables.
Yeah, that's big. If you don't eat your vegetables, at least take a multivitamin.
Yeah. I doubt Vermin Supreme wants to spray chemtrails on people or have Monsanto mucking up the age-old agricultural system that helped our burgeoning human society become what it is.
No, we'll just have to wait for Hillary Clinton to get into power so she can bomb the Tigris and Euphrates valleys.
Yeah. Well, like, just weird shit keeps happening when these, and like when these people appear, and a lot of times they'll go on that show, Who Do You Think You Are, where they do your DNA testing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, these people are, related to royalty directly. And people think that's cool, and I think it's garbage. Like, we should stop letting those people have power.
That's true.
Because they haven't
They
really...
fucked things up in the past. Why are they going to do better now?
Yeah, it's like we graduated from serfdom and slavery to... Oh, no, wait, it's still slavery. Except, with the exception that at least when people were slaves and property... they had to be maintained.
Mm-hmm.
The people who took advantage of their services had to clothe and feed them and house them, and they don't even have to do that anymore.
There's a lot of people who are underserved by society.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people.
Paying rent on the land they were born on. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. So anyways, Vermin Supreme, we salute you, and if you're ever in California and decide to leave New Hampshire, come on my show. All right. Let's see. So while we're on the topic of alt candidates, I had another one, and this is...
Who is this gentleman?
This is another person you can vote for.
Oh, great. Maybe I will.
This is and he even has a fun name like Vermin Supreme. This is Zoltan Istvan.
Now, is that his birth name, or
I think so.
did he change it to
probably.
Zoltan?
I think he's probably of like Hungarian
Oh,
descent.
okay.
It's a fairly common name. But yeah, so Zoltan Istvan is part of the transhumanist political party, which I was not even aware existed.
So he wants to become a robot, or he just wants to live forever?
Yeah, I think it's more that. For anyone unfamiliar, the transhumanist movement is propagated by people like Zoltan Istvan, other people like Ray Kurzweil, who are science writers. Kurzweil has been pretty prophetic in his predictions of the evolution of technology for the past, 30, 40 years or something like that.
The guy takes like 70 pills a day.
Yeah, he's one of those people. The H plus symbol is like humanity plus whatever
Plus
improvements,
chemicals equals
plus
singularity.
whatever improvements technology can make to us. It's kind of an idealized kind of integration of technology into society and the body human itself.
We need that T-1000 vision.
Well, yeah, I mean, it obviously it could go both ways. We could have super soldiers that
that's inevitable.
that have their empathy completely turned off, set loose against the protesting citizens of whatever nation on the earth. But like human soldiers are already doing that quite well.
Yeah, that's why they have drones.
Right.
so you can have some dude in a bunker in Las Vegas kill people across the world.
Yeah, and then it just looks like he's playing a video game.
Yep, and he's been conditioned to do that since childhood.
Mm-hmm. So Zoltan Istvan is an author. By all accounts, a pretty smart guy. He's written a couple novels, one of which was a science fiction novel that dealt with where Ray Kurzweil is more the nonfiction side of it.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote a science fiction story dealing with many of the same topics.
Oh, interesting.
And that kind of we're on the cusp of that singularity where our own technology surpasses our own intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That point.
I would argue we're pretty much there at this point.
Or if not, we're not far off.
Yeah.
I think.
Things are already accelerating so quickly that people can't really understand them.
Yeah, I think Kurzweil was predicting by 2025, and we're hot on the heels of that as it is. But one thing that Mr. Istvan here writes a lot of articles for like Vice, and he's like one of their tech writers, Gizmodo, some of these kind of tech-minded publications.
Sure.
He brought up an interesting thing, and that is the external womb.
Oh no.
Yeah, man, what does that remind you of?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Well, yeah, there's that one, and then let's see. Oh, that one. There we go. This is the scene in The Matrix where Neo gets unplugged, or they're about to unplug him, and they show him what it is that is happening to humanity, that they're just being harvested for energy in these pods, and they're being fed these false life events. This kind of sim game, so that they don't know that they're living in a plastic bubble. But apparently, we're getting to the point where we just don't give a shit anymore, and they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, it's just how it is.
And so the scary thing about these, aside from the actual application itself of birthing children outside of the human body, is that you can do all of the genetic modification you want. I mean, we're pretty much there right now anyways, but it's a lot easier when you're not trying to enter another human body to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just there. It's right in front of you. And so yeah, that's fucked up. But yeah, at least now, obviously there's evil applications to this, but at least there's someone thinking forward.
Yeah.
And, not like, these false, make America great again. Because as the usage of our tax dollars throughout time has shown, America's never really been great. They've always been doing fucked up shit.
More of it than anybody else. That's why we're number one.
When you look into the declassified Freedom of Information Act documents about what were at the time covert government operations, like we talked about those before. Operation Mockingbird, where they were like, we're going to have plants in the media, and we're going to make sure that the news gets spun the way we want it to. Or Operation Northwoods, which was like a kind of predecessor of what happened during 9/11. Who was responsible for it? I don't know. All I know is that we had that idea first for the sole purpose of inciting a war with Russia and Cuba.
And then it just happened to take place on its own.
Yeah. Lucky, right?
It's very, very, very interesting.
So yeah, there's two people that you can vote for that are not as big as shitheads as Hillary and
Mr. Trump.
Yeah. Woody Guthrie wrote a song about Donald Trump's father.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Woody Guthrie, or rather, Donald Trump's father was Woody Guthrie's landlord.
Oh, great.
And treated Woody Guthrie as well as you can imagine, Trump treating anyone.
I imagine Fred Trump was a real jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is dead, right? I think he's dead, his father.
I hope so.
Otherwise, he's ancient.
He would be a pretty old man.
Yeah, but I mean, the rich live a long time because they have money, and their insurance companies probably do stuff.
Yeah, yeah, they. That's where all of your premiums go, is to keep
Fred Trump alive.
Yeah, Fred Trump, and they keep Walt Disney's frozen head alive and spitting out stories.
Hey, everybody loved Finding Dory. He wrote that one.
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it either. I think it did pretty well.
Probably.
And without the head of Disney, how they've come up with such an original idea as a sequel to a very popular movie from several years ago.
I think they had a bunch of hacks
Oh yeah,
write a story. Yeah, I think
very
it's probably...
a very interesting theory, Norm. Hacks working in the movie business.
That's one I'm gonna say is the truth.
Oh boy, oh boy.
But let's see, what else do we have here?
Well, I think we have a spice. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, let's see. So we did all the weird UN trucks driving around American soil. We looked at Zoltan, Istvan, and Vermin Supreme. Two better presidential candidates than the ones you're talking about, hearing about on the news all the time. And that's the thing, like, a lot of these people, maybe not these guys specifically, but a lot of these third-party candidates appear at the presidential debates to participate in them, and they're turned away.
Yeah.
Because, no, you don't really have the freedom of choice in this country for who your leaders are. They are chosen for you. I think Mark Twain was the one who said if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let you do it.
It's very true.
You gonna argue with Mark Twain?
I'm sure not. He's dead.
Well, no, and he was awesome.
Yeah, that's also true.
So yeah, we come to the one of the more, like, people say this is ridiculous, but I keep finding examples of this, and I had a jar of turmeric that had been sitting around for a long time.
Okay.
That was spelled, as you might remember, T-U-M-E-R-I-C, and then it wasn't anymore. Same jar. And now when you look on Google for turmeric,
yeah,
it says, "Did you mean turmeric?" And it gives you search results for this spelling now.
Turmeric versus turmeric. Is there a deeper reasoning behind this? Where did this shift come from?
Well, I think that we've kind of slid into an alternate dimension.
Okay.
But instead of
this is one of the mirror universes we're in. One of many.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, but, like, you tell me why, man. Like, like, shit ain't the same as it used to be. And
turmeric versus turmeric.
And yeah, and we didn't even, and this one gets me too, the berenstain bears. Now, that's not the way it was spelled when I was a kid.
How was it spelled?
With E-I-N at the end, Berenstein.
Yeah.
Or Berenstain. Now, Berenstein is an actual surname that appears in Germanic languages.
Sure.
Berenstain isn't anything. It's not a real thing. But when you look up these stories, and now all of these old Berenstein Bears books that are in print, all spelled this way now.
Have you been able to locate an original one to see if that spelling? No? Very interesting. Somebody's retconning our history, Norm.
Well, and it's odd to me because I would have hoped that if we had slid into another dimension, that, I don't know, maybe things would be better.
It's crap all the way down.
Yeah, that, like, society would be better and, like, more fair, or it's like something big would be different. But no, we just slipped into the same shitty dimension, and things are just spelled different. And it bums me out, dude.
Well, if things change for the worse, maybe they can change for the better.
Maybe. We'll need the CERN super collider.
Oh yeah.
To open up another wormhole.
You think that's what did it to begin with? Have you ever looked up the time travel theories about the super collider?
Well, I from what I've read, from what I assume are reputable publications, that they have actually succeeded in sending, like, particles back through time.
Oh yeah.
That's verifiable.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that if we're being spoon-fed that they've probably sent bigger stuff back further in time, or teleported stuff. I mean, like, these are things that are actually being said, that, oh, we were able to transport this thing from here to here in 0 time.
Yep.
So, did you have a different theory?
There's been a lot of buzz on the internet that there's been time travelers. Actually, it's convicts from the future being sent back to stop themselves from offending in this parallel universe.
Really?
Yeah, there's a number of stories about this, and it's the source is the Massachusetts Institute of Corrections in cooperation with CERN, and that's what
Really? Oh, that sounds like fun.
that's what allegedly the partners in this enterprise are. Although, aside from some documentation which could easily have been forged, there's not a world of proof besides sort of people's stories that they posted on forums and stuff.
Well, I have seen a lot of video, like historical photos, where there appear people with cell phones.
I've seen a lot of those too.
And yeah, there's a lot of Photoshop and stuff, but it seems like you could do other stuff with Photoshop than these kind of mundane things, these little curiosities.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to pictures of yourself on Facebook and add like a ponytail or something, or like, a sombrero if you wanted to. You'd be cooler than you were, at the time.
Yeah, like why put an iPhone in someone's hands? Or like, are you familiar with the babushka lady from the Zapruder film?
No, I don't think so.
That there was someone.
That's the JFK kill video,
yeah,
right? Okay.
Yeah. That she's the only one walking around. Like everyone else has hit the deck because they've heard these gunshots.
Yeah.
But there's one sole person like just walking around, like she knew what was happening, wanted to get front row seats.
Tourist.
I don't know. It's weird shit, man. And all of it together, it doesn't add up. Like so many other things, and I'll admit this is one of the more ridiculous ones, but like if it's an actual thing, what's responsible for it? Why are all of the collective memories that people have no longer representative of the way things appear? Like that's fucking strange.
that is an incredibly problematic thing. I'll have nightmares about that one for long after this episode is over.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be more examples of it, and there are plenty more examples.
Sure.
I just kind of wanted to. There will be more in the future that we will present because, like, this phenomenon fascinates the hell out of me.
I mean, and when you watch this episode of Truth Noir in the future, I may be wearing a black hat instead.
Well, it could be, and I will, of course, remember otherwise.
Yeah.
And
because you experienced the
sure
original,
and I'm sure you will
before
too.
before the tangent reality.
But yeah, then we'll see it and we'll be like, yeah, no, see, it's different.
It was a black hat.
So, anyways, we are at the end of our show. So I want to, I'm going to leave that Berenstain Bears picture up.
Very good, very good.
And so, yeah, man.
It was a
once
pleasure.
Again. It's been way too long.
Oh, yeah. Thanks everyone for watching Truth Noir. I hope you had as much fun listening to us as we had talking.
Yeah, because we love the sound of our own voices.
Absolutely.
Anyways, that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching. Wherever you're going, get there safe. Catch you next time.